Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Max Voltage Mining and Crypto channel. I am Max Voltage, and today we have the third segment from the Daniel Keller interview from Saturday night. And this one is about parallel assets. So we'll be talking about that today. So without further ado, here you go. Let's switch gears to parallel assets. So why don't you talk about a little bit what's coming up with that with parallel assets 6 and 7?
So if you've been following the parallel assets, really that's our Flux's play at interchain operability. It allows you to, I call it dual citizenship. So you have your U.S. citizenship, which is Flux. You have your parallel asset, let's say that, is Canada, right? It's over here. You can have a citizenship in both of these areas. So you got one in the States and one in Canada. When you're in the U.S., you get all the benefits of being in the U.S. If you're in Canada, you're going to get all the benefits of being in Canada. So it allows Flux to live on multiple chains and be able to participate in their ecosystems, but always come back home again to the Flux main network through Fusion. So we started out with 5. So we went with Binance Smart Chain, KDA, Ethereum, Tron, and Solana when our first go round. Avalanche is going to drop in July. So I was looking down. I was like, what the hell's the date? I'm losing it. And then in August, you'll see the next asset. Right now, it's slotted to be Cosmos. I think you could, depending on... Okay, so it was supposed to be Terra Luna, and that all kind of took a crap, right? So we had to retool everything and go back. And everybody's like, how much work is that? Well, that's a lot of work. But I'm glad it happened when it happened, because we didn't deploy it, and then we would have had to go back and bring back everybody back to main chain and all that kind of good stuff and redeploy another parallel asset. So I will tell you this, I'm a fan of proof of work, and I think you'll see some proof of work projects added here too as well. I like Ergo. I've mentioned this before. I think they're doing some pretty unique stuff. I support any project that's, proof of work, and they're pushing the envelope and developing new tech. I like that. They're not a fork of a fork of a fork, and just, with no use case whatsoever. I think they got a good use case. The other one, and I hate to say it, I really do, it pains me deeply, is Bcash. And Bitcoin Cash is doing some really interesting things. I think, oh God,
really?
it's
I always thought that was like some sort of like sham from like whenever. I just never paid attention to it, to be honest.
Well, it really was back in the day. Like, Roger Ver and I, we ended up in the same room one time, and it almost ripped a hole in time and space, you know what I mean? A time continuum, yeah. So but since then they've done some pretty unique things, and we had one of the developers that works on the project come in and really give us a real good rundown of some of the things that they're doing, and it was impressive. So I'm not saying you're going to see it anytime soon, but I am saying that that's definitely one we want to look at as well. Just across the board, people ask, okay, if you have 10 parallel assets, is that the end of it? No. You can have as many parallel assets as you would like.
Okay,
so as we find other logical projects, and as a matter of fact, we're trying to ramp up we're building a framework so that we can add these quicker. So the way that it's done now is we do snapshots, and then once the snapshots are complete, we build out the infrastructure, and then we send the assets down, basically I hate the word airdrop. I call it a distribution. It's a distribution. Because it's not free money, right? You've mined it, you've earned it. It's just you're getting it through a different asset. Mm-hmm. But you could easily have 50 of them if that's what it meant. So, we've got a list. I would say it's a good list of 10 to 12 that we really like. And it's just going to be up to the community too. Like we'll get input from the community and what they like to see. And as projects take off and start to surge, obviously it'll probably shift around, and we'll look at different opportunities. But yeah, that's kind of how
we had someone that asked if Ergo would be added to the Zelcore wallet anytime soon, and if Ergo would be a parallel asset at some point, or Sooner than later,
Er-
rather.
Ergo will be added to Zelcore. I don't know the
Awesome.
timeline on that or when it's going to come out. It's a little bit more. Anytime you add like anything that's not a token is a little bit more lifting, but it's on my list. So like if I
Awesome.
had, they like give me a list that I can pick from, so it's in my list. So
Cool. Yeah, that'd be a big deal for me because honestly I stopped dealing with Ergo because of that Yorio wallet or whatever the hell it was called. It was just a pain in the ass extension on I couldn't deal with it because I couldn't log
had
in
no
on
trouble
Google
with it,
Chrome.
but
It just
okay.
wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I had to go to like Microsoft Edge and it finally worked, but it like was glitching hard for me. I don't know why. But that's kind of why I shied away from mining Ergo. I was like, I'm not gonna deal with that online BS wallet.
well, if you look at what we did with KDA, we were the very first wallet to really launch KDA, and and it was very successful for us. We have a very good relationship with the KDA team. I'd like to see the same thing happening with the Ergo team as well, because I think
That's
proof of
awesome.
work projects, they just need to band together and work together. If we do that, I think Will from KDA said, if KDA is layer one and that's a settlement mechanism, then Flux is the AWS, the infrastructure that delivers that. So,
Mhm.
and I think that there's other projects out there that are proof of work that align really nicely with us. So you'll see us working more with them. And especially since the shit that went down with Terra Luna, I'm not a fan of proof of stake. You know what I mean? Guys, if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, but it's just not, it's an inferior product. And, there's a reason why you're seeing all the issues with proof of stake right now. So,
Right.
I think proof of stake, by the way, can redeem themselves if they start deploying things decentralized. If Solana, Sam, if you're listening, if you deploy your nodes on Flux to our decentralized network, it's going to help you bolster your network to push toward decentralizations. Problem is you can't control them. And that's the kicker for a lot of these proof of stake projects. They want full control of the nodes.
This isn't in the list, but this is going to be, I think, a little bit of a tough question. Maybe it won't be, but obviously there's been some FUD out there as far as Firo not really liking having miners because they mine and sell, they mine and sell, they mine and sell. They're not holding. What is your thought on all that's going on with Firo with regards to that? I know that they are actually able to be deployed. The master nodes are able to be deployed on Flux, so there's obviously some sort of alignment there.
Yeah, you do like getting tough ones. First of all, I love Firo and I love Ruben and I love that team. I love what they're doing. They privacy at their heart, right? That's really what they are focused on. I completely disagree with their perspective around miners. Mining and selling, mining and selling, and mining and selling, that helps you just basically distribute your asset. That's the way I look at it. It all comes down to this, people complain about the price. Really? I mean, that's what the issue is, right? If you really want to get down to brass tacks, it's because, there's people that are mining and then they're selling it. It's depressing the price, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an easy solution for that. Build a use case. Build something like Flux and Flux nodes and Flux OS and Zelcore and these other platforms that allow you to use your utility asset and put it into play. Guess what? Almost 50% of all circulating supply is locked up in nodes or other places. There's a reason for that. The same people that are mining Flux are the same people that are deploying nodes on Flux. I would venture to say there is probably not a node owner that hasn't at some point at least mined or looked at it or played with it, right? So, it's a tricky question to answer because, I like the guys. I don't agree with their stance. I think that's very short-sighted on them. And if you punish your miners, you end up losing a very big base of your project. They're the core that keeps it together. So, to me, it's all about use case. Build your use cases out. Make the utility asset be every single part of the project, much like we've done. And if you do that, then I think you'll be successful. So, yeah.
I appreciate you taking that question. I know that one wasn't easy.
I think you just roundhoused me.
Well, Well, let me throw a lob up to you then after that one.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Flux Lab pool promotion?
Yeah, so Flux Lab pool is I'll start out by saying this. Spread the flippin' hash, people. Like, spread it around. It just makes sense, right? You know, we're not so worried about, you know, pools that have 40% or something like that. It's 51% attacks really are only, when you really look at them, they're built around exchanges, right? So that's where the big pain came from. You look at like the Ethereum Classic when they were 51% attacked, and Coinbase got wrecked because of it, because they double spend. Flux has 40. Our maximum reorg height is 40 confirmations. So if the exchanges set their confirmations at 41, you would have to have all the network hash. You'd have to have all of the nodes to know who the next deterministic node winners are. And it wouldn't matter anyway, because you couldn't double spend it, because the confirmations, it would basically shut the damn chain down. Well, it wouldn't shut the chain down, but it would be a mess. So we did it that way on purpose, and we've worked with every single exchange out there, and we said, look, you know, if you're going to list the main asset, put it at 41. You know, some of them put it 42, 44, or whatever, but just get it above 40, and we'll be good to go. So, you know, I don't get too worried about that. But we have some pools that are really doing some awesome things, and we really want to get more people involved. And we've spent a lot of time and resources. Our pools have spent a lot of time and resources building out. Put your hash on some smaller pools. Put your hash on, you know, Flux Labs for a while if you'd like, wherever. Build a pool. You know, we just had 2 new pools join. So, you know, I think it's important for decentralization to really spread it around. And I think as more miners come over, I think you'll see them spin more pools up and all that kind of good stuff. But there's a nice little giveaway. I think they're doing $12,000. I think they're doing $1,000 to one miner every month for loyal. It's like a loyalty. It's on top of their loyalty rewards.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I started doing some investigation on this as preparation for this. Yes, they have a loyalty reward. I think it was like 4 Flux for every 1 kilosoul or something like that. Again, I did some brief research on it, and then the other thing, I think this is the point at which when somebody gets comfortable with a pool, they're like, well, I know how they handle the parallel assets.
Yeah.
And not all the pools pay out the parallel assets.
Yeah, that's right.
But Flux Labs does pay out the parallel assets as Flux every week. So,
yeah, it's vote with your feet, people. If you go there and they say, hey, and you ask them, hey, can I get my parallel assets? And they say no, then that's not a pool you want to mine at, right?
Right.
You want to make sure you go to a pool that makes the most logical sense for you. And by the way, we are currently working on a solution so that even if you were mining on a pool that didn't honor your parallel assets, the miners themselves would be able to claim it directly. So that's the ultimate goal from the beginning, was to get it to the point where the miners can do it themselves, or they can have the creature comforts of having it done for them by a pool. So someone like me, I'm lazy as shit, and I don't want to go do all that. So I want to park my rigs, and it just gets dropped into my wallet, and I'm like, yay, that's great. Right. But somebody that's a diehard miner and they want to do it themselves, they should be able to do that. So we're going to work on that and put that on the radar. You probably won't see it this year, but you definitely see it next year. Somebody brought something up about CRO, which is the Crypto.com's. Yeah, we've been in talks with them for a while now, so they are on the short list as well. So, you know, awesome. that's when I think that, you know, there's some value there, and the Crypto.com guys were really interesting folks to deal with. I was pretty excited, you know, when we found out we were getting the Crypto.com listing, and, you know, I think what they're doing, I think, again, if you're logically fixing a problem, then we're definitely going to gravitate towards you. And I think what they're doing with Crow, and I think it could be very interesting.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that segment about parallel assets with Daniel Keller. I'll have 2 more segments left. One will be an AMA, one will be a little bit of a surprise, which I probably will come out with tomorrow. It's a very short one. But if you like this kind of content, please hit the like button, and also subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. Again, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.